Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, gamers from far reaching and all close to home. Rocksteady used to be one of the top, if not one of the number one video game companies out there. I mean, everybody remembers the height of the Arkham Asylum games and how well they did all of that stuff with Batman, and rest in peace to Kevin Conroy, who will always be the voice of Batman for us, will always be our Batman. And it was an incredible time. They were a lot of great games. Everybody had a lot of fun. They made lots of money. They were very successful. The fans loved them. The critics loved them. They're renowned to this very day. I think there might even still currently be on sale on Steam if you want to go snatch them up for a really good deal. Like, there was a lot of good memories. There's a lot of good times. There's a lot of great situations that have come out of Rocksteady. We've had a lot of great examples of good stuff, especially with them working with Warner Brothers. And I'm a big fan of Warner Brothers. I'm a big DC fan, if you can't tell by the stuff around me and my channel symbol and everything else. So this is something that we all really enjoyed as DC fans for a long time. Well, boys and girls, I think all of us are probably really well aware of what happened with Justice League Kills the Suicide Squad, the game that just came out from Rocksteady not too long ago, and how much of an abysmal failure it was. There are some reports out there, and we're going to show off one of those before we get into all of the juicy details of the information we have on Rocksteady, because there's some inside information out there saying the future of Rocksteady might not be looking so very bright at all, boys and girls. And as we do like to report on the rumor mill, especially when it's from someone we trust, we definitely want to go out there and get that. But it would it surprise anybody at this point, considering what's been going on with Rocksteady and considering how much of a disastrous dumpster fire that happened with the Suicide Squad game? I mean, we know Warner Brothers doesn't have a lot of money just to throw around right now. David Zaslav has been doing drastic cuts since Warner Brothers Discovery merged and became a thing. Like, it's literally been nonstop cuts and a lot of that kind of stuff, and they're not putting up with stuff that doesn't work. Well, boys and girls, there's no way to deny that Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League simply did not work. And that may very well be the result, or that may very well be the cause of what's going on with this report here from Vera Dark, because she's got some very interesting information saying that the future of Rocksteady, the company itself, may not exist, or at least have half of it cut back. And there's many different reasons for this, boys and girls. And it's also an interesting tale to tell as well, because there's an interesting little article that magically got deleted by Bloomberg talking about Rocksteady's future might actually be a little bit brighter. But now all of a sudden that article can't be found. And the only thing that can be found on Bloomberg here now, of course, is behind the Suicide Squad, the year's biggest video game flop. Warner Brothers took a $200 million loss on the Rocksteady game. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into this insider information that our dear sweet Vera Dark is reporting on, which if you haven't already gone and subscribed or follow her on all of her social medias, definitely do. She is an awesome lady, does some great video game content, and does some good, insightful knowledge on reporting on the news. But we're going to get into this. We're going to check out what this over here at the Cinema Fanatic says, as well as we can tell, we've been searching for Bloomberg for this article that now no longer exists for some strange reason. So, boys and girls, we're going to check out this comment, get into all the juicy details, and see exactly, or at least try to figure out exactly what is going on over at Rocksteady and with their Warner Brothers Discovery as an overall whole. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button. Follow or subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. Share it out with all your friends and leave us a comment down below. Let us what you think about this, whether or not you believe this is the case. And do you think this is just another adage of guess what happens when you pick the wrong side in the culture war and you end up losing hundreds of millions of dollars for a company that is already very, very tight around the budget? So, from our dear, sweet Vera Dark, while I do not usually speak on insider information I receive, I think this is one we have all pieced together ourselves. Warner Brothers is internally talking about closing Rocksteady or having their 250 employees after Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League's bomb. Just last month, David Zaslav announced that it lost them over $200 million year over year. That is insane. And that lines up with what Bloomberg over here is reporting. Now, of course, they've got it by a paywall, but they want to go, what's behind the Suicide Squad, the year's biggest flop of a video game. After 7 years of tumultuous development, Warner Brothers took a $200 million loss on the Rocksteady game. And this is why I always talk about that. I thought the cultural shift and the swing back inside of the video game industry, when they went full on board culture war with a lot of, and trying to interject a lot of this stuff into their video games, why would we see a snap back so fast? Because video games are not movies. You cannot develop one and get it to market in 4 months, 6 months, or even a couple of years. It takes years, sometimes a decade, to properly produce a good quality video game and bring it to market fully functioning. And as we've seen in the modern era, a lot of the games that have even spent these years do not come fully functioning to the market and end up causing these companies a lot of bad press. But why? We don't need to read Bloomberg's article to know what happened behind Suicide Squad. We know that activists of the cult have infected the company of Rocksteady, right? We know that they hate heroes. They hate all things good because they cannot relate to it because they themselves are not that, okay? So what do they do instead? They try to prop up quote unquote anti-heroes, which the Suicide Squad was never supposed to be anti-heroes. They were villains kept in line by someone you could easily argue is a villain, Amanda Waller. Okay? They've literally got an explosive device in the back of their neck that if they don't listen, boop, goes their head. Okay? So these are not good people. These are not people out there doing things for the right reasons. These are people who have powers that are being forced, essentially enslaved, to do what the government thinks is best. They are not heroes. Okay? So you took a video game inside of a universe where the established heroes are the Justice League. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl. You could, obviously you get into Justice League Unlimited. There's a whole bunch of them, but you know the core characters, right? You know everybody knows. So what did they do? They decided to put it in their promotions, and the whole game was going to be all about how the Suicide Squad, B-rate villains at best, somehow defeat Earth's greatest heroes. I wonder why this game didn't go over well with fans. And then, of course, we found out immediately after launch that they were going to turn into an online service with DLC and a subscription pass for all of their future updates. Wow. Color me shocked there. I wonder why this game didn't go over well with fans. So a $200 million loss on the books for a company that is already bleeding money and behind the eight ball because of the disastrous dumpster fires that they've had in the past. Warner Brothers Discovery, i.e. Zaslav, who we have known from the past. We have reported on it extensively on this channel, how much house cleaning Zaslav did when he took over Warner Brothers. He gutted the movie industry area of that thing, completely replaced almost everybody, bringing in new folks. And it looks like, boys and girls, our dear sweet Zaslav may be doing the exact same to Rocksteady. And I wouldn't blame him. 7 years of development, and you just cost my company $200 million. 7 years you spent working on this to show for us what? A $200 million loss? In any sane world, they would all get pink slips and be looking for a new job, or at least all of the people creatively responsible for that game would be. And it looks like that might just happen. I have heavily, going back to Vera Dark, I have heavily covered Warner Brothers games and Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League since release because of what it represented for Warner Brothers games and a beloved franchise. When it was greenlit, we were seeing a giant scramble for studios to create live service games, and this one released too late, plus the content did not resonate with players, i.e. what we just talked about. Rock Studios co-founder and studio heads also departed the company back in 2022. Got out while the getting was good, I guess. And I believe they've actually gone on to form new independent companies. And I think Microsoft picked up one of them because guess what? These guys actually do know how to create good quality games. They have a long track record of doing it. But guess what? Just like so many other companies we've seen in the modern era, they have been taken over by activists of the cult. The culture warriors out there that our only goal is to push an agenda, be damn the money, be damned the fans, and be damned at the end of the day, the customers who are the ones that pay their salaries. But of course, they don't care about that. Nothing matters more to them than pushing the agenda because they believe they will be on the right side of history and they will burn down absolutely everything they have to in order to get themselves there. Does that sound like an ideology that's going to be very successful at the end of the day, boys and girls? Me thinks not. Rocksteady is a shell of the company it used to be. And we saw this happen recently with Embracer Group and Voltion, a company that had 30 years of experience under their belt. And it sounds as though Warner Brothers is planning to pull the plug on Rocksteady too. They have no other games publicly announced, and there does not, and let's just stop right there. They have no other games publicly announced. That brings us back to this little tweet we found out from the Cinematic Fanatics. Now, I don't know how reliable this is, but according to them, then this was supposed to be a quote from them, many of the studio employees are now helping to develop a new director's cut versions of Hogwarts Legacy, which is something that we knew about a couple of weeks ago. At the same time, according to people familiar, the studio leaders are looking to pitch a new single-player game which would return Rocksteady to its roots. They think they'll definitely get another at-bat, hopefully with something more aligned with their demonstrated talents. But when you click on this article, you find out this article doesn't exist. You search Bloomberg. The only thing you can find when looking for that is the stuff referencing Suicide Squad. And this is going all the way back to May 31st, May 29th, May 26th, May 19th, all the way back. This article does not exist. Did it ever? I'm not sure. Check the Wayback Machine. Let me know. But if that thing just came out and this actually is the plan, what our dear sweet Vera Dark is saying, then that might be why that Bloomberg article got deleted, if it ever existed at all, of course. So it sounds like Warner Brothers is planning to pull the plug on Rocksteady too. They have no other games publicly announced, and there does not seem to be any confidence in them anymore. Even back in 2016, we got the Batman Arkham VR game that was developed by Rocksteady. The new Batman Arkham Shadow VR game is being done by Camouflage. Only time will tell. It doesn't seem like the future is very bright for Rocksteady. Now remember, this is per what she says, does not speak on it, usually does not speak on insider information she received. This is insider information. This is someone from inside of Warner Brothers, somebody inside of Rocksteady that has reached out to Vera and said, this is what they're going to do. They are internally talking about closing Rocksteady or at least having their 250 employees after the bomb that was the Suicide Squad game. Why wouldn't they? You failed. You wasted 7 years and over $200 million. I'm sure it was probably actually way more than that. Just like I'm sure just like we know the budgets for movies and television shows are way underreported. I'm sure this video game was too. This game probably cost them twice that. You know, or even if it only cost them $300 million, $100 million more, even if it only took at face value, it cost a company who just went through a last year of box office disasters, losing them hundreds of millions of dollars. And now this new game from a company that used to be able to just literally shit gold games. You've now lost this company $200 million. Why wouldn't they fire your ass? Why wouldn't they close the studio? Zaslav ain't got time for this nonsense. So yes, I believe Vera Dark. I believe Vera Dark's insiders. Like she says in the statement here, it makes sense. With everything that's been happening, with everything we've seen from the past of what Zaslav has done to people who lose him money. And you know what? It's exactly what Rocksteady deserves. They allowed themselves to be overtaken by activists, culture warriors, and acolytes of the cult. And they decided to push an agenda. They decided to drive home a narrative. And if you think Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League wasn't that bad, I promise you, it was the tip of the iceberg. Let me give you 5 million examples over the last 10 years of showing how this starts and how it ends up going every single time. The slippery slope argument is currently in the modern era undefeated. Go woke, go broke is an adage that is very, very true and has been proven true time and time again. Bud Light, Disney, Marvel, DC Comics. The list goes on and on. So guess what? In a time of economic strife, in a company that was damn near bankruptcy not all that long ago, yes, good. Rocksteady and all of your employees, you've done it to yourself. You get exactly what you deserve. And guess what? If you're a good, talented person inside of the Rocksteady company and you're not completely and totally insane, you will have no problem finding another job because people know the name of Rocksteady and they know the kind of games you used to create. Problem is, like Vera said, you're a shell of what you once were. And it all came down to the fact that you allowed the woke infection to permeate every aspect of your company. And now you're getting exactly what you deserve. Once again, go woke, go broke, proven true.